Hi, my review is on the movie Man of Steel, which opened up on May 14th. It opened up last Monday too, I believe, in New York for its premiere. And when I was down there near the theater, I went to a bookstore called Barnes and Nobles, and I bought the soundtrack to the movie by Hans Zimmer. Also, when I was at the theater, I bought this. It's a General Zod t-shirt, and it's got some, it kind of feels like a rubbery, symbol there. And in the back it says kneel, or it says prepare to kneel. And of course he never says that in the movie though. And then there's the theater logo right there, the crown logo, which is that right there. And when you get this, you get a free bucket of popcorn, which is pretty good. And the movie was very good. I liked it a lot. I'm kind of excited to do a review on this movie because this is the first time I've ever done a review on a Superman movie. I've always done Superman. I've always done Batman, Iron Man, Spider-Man movie, other comic book movies over the years. And when I joined YouTube, it was only 1 year after Superman Returns, so this is my first Superman movie review, and I'm excited about it, and I couldn't be happier. The movie was good, and I don't care what anybody says, I don't care what the critics say, this movie was good. I even wore my t-shirts, to the movie theaters, to the movie theater. I mean, I thought it was good. And but the movie starts off on Krypton, and Krypton is kind of like a combination of it's like a futuristic world, kind of mixed with medieval type of look. If you understand what I'm saying, it's kind of a cross between medieval and futuristic, and it was kind of interesting. It's not like the Richard Donner movies from the Christopher Reeve movies where Krypton's this big ice, crystal planet or whatever. It's not like that. And Superman does have like a little thing. It's not a crystal, but it's like something this long and thin, and on the end of it, it has the Superman symbol. And he uses that to operate the computers at the Fortress of Solitude. And so the movie's pretty good. Now, there's a lot of action scenes on Krypton, but keep in mind, just to prepare you for this, right after the whole Krypton scene, and you see a lot of Krypton in this movie, there's a lot of Krypton, but after that scene with Krypton, from that point to the middle of the movie has a lot of slow pacing. And for a minute there, I was starting to get a little bit restless. I wasn't getting mad or upset or anything. I was just like thinking to myself, when is this movie going to really kick in? I mean, we had action scenes in the beginning, but when is this movie really going to kick in? I kind of was thinking that way. And I knew that from what I read from reviews, the movie did have a lot of action sequences in it. So when you get to that middle part of the movie, you'll notice that the action starts to come up, the fighting scenes, and then the action just is like non-stop, all pretty much all the way to the end without any rest. It really becomes good at that point. But the slow pacing parts, there are points where Clark has flashbacks of his childhood, because the people who made the movie want to show us, Clark Kent, Superman, when he was young, growing up in Smallville. But they have these flashback things, and they go back to the present day, and then there's sometimes more flashbacks. But I don't have a problem with that, really, because they did that in Batman Begins, where Bruce Wayne would see, have flashbacks of his childhood, and they have that with Clark Kent in this movie. So I really don't have a problem with that. And I think this movie is Batman Begins good. That's how good I think this movie is. I think it's Batman Begins good. Certainly not a Dark Knight kind of movie. Certainly not, something, but it's good. It's very, very excellent, good movie. And I think a lot of the actors and actresses did a fine job in their parts. I think Russell Crowe did a good job in his part, as Jor-El. His acting was probably just as good as it was in Gladiator. I mean, it was excellent acting. Kevin Costner did an excellent job. Amy Adams, Michael Shannon, and then of course Henry Cavill is Clark Kent Superman. I think, and then Fishburne as Perry White. He did a good job in his part. Everybody held their own, and the special effects in this movie were good. The visual effects were good. The fight scenes were amazing, and I mean, let's put it this way: Metropolis takes a pretty good beating, but it was pretty good action in this movie, but just keep in mind though, that slow pacing part, just to have a little patience with it until it gets to its more extreme scenes and everything, because you just got to just give it time, be patient, and it'll get there. It'll show up. And yeah, the movie was good, excellent good, and I think that the harsh criticism this movie is going through doesn't deserve it. It really does not deserve it. And the reason why I don't think it deserves it is because when I saw this movie, I said to myself, this movie's not a 57% movie on Rotten Tomatoes. It can't be. I mean, I didn't think it was that bad of a movie at all. I mean, I would have figured if the movie didn't finish in the 90 or 80% mark, I would have thought that it probably would have finished up maybe around, in the 70s. It would have finished up in the 70s and became a certified fresh. I would have think that it wouldn't have gotten any lower than that, and it did. And it doesn't deserve it either. I mean, I'm not trying to pick a bone with the. I'm not trying to, say something bad about the critics here, but and I'm not being a conspiracist when I say this, but it almost seems like their criticism of this movie was being done on purpose. They knew this was going to be a big movie, and they probably were out to get it. I mean, why? Well, maybe they're just, what's the word I want to use? Bias. Because a lot of these people that, critics that bash this movie are the ones that like the Marvel movies and gave the Marvel movies thumbs up and everything. But this one they didn't. They just went right after it. Why? Maybe because it's Superman. It's a DC movie. They're trying to start the Superman franchise over again. The critics probably wanting to be just rotten about it, and because when I look at some of their reviews on this movie, some of the stuff that they point out, I don't even see. I went to this movie. I hear some people say, yeah, like some critics say, well, yeah, but there was nothing in the movie that made me laugh. You know what? It's not a comedy. It's a superhero movie. It's a superhero action movie. And there was a couple of times in the movie that there was time in the movie it did make me laugh at a point. And so that's why I don't notice what they're talking about. Then I hear, well, there's too much action in it. Oh, it's too much. It's a superhero movie. That's what action movies are. I mean, superhero movies are action movies, and they're supposed to be that way. And then I hear some critics say, oh, but the movie was kind of boring. Well, how can a movie be full of action, have action, and be boring at the same time? I mean, to me, what they're pointing out in the reviews doesn't add up, and it just makes me think that they're just out to bash this movie just because it's Superman, and Warner Brothers is trying to start the franchise up again. They decide they're going to go out and try to wreck this movie, but it's not working. It just isn't working. because even though it has a 57% on Rotten Tomatoes, 82%. Because they have on Rotten Tomatoes, they have two scores. They have the critic score and the audience score. The audience gave this movie an 82%. That means, yes, the critics don't like it that much, but most of the audience like it, and that's the only number that's really important, is what the audience thinks, because they're the ones that buy the tickets. They're the ones that turn around and go to the movie again and again and again. So the only number that Warner Brothers is concerned about is that 82% of the audience. They're the ones that they want to please, and if those people are happy with the movie, then they've won the day. Also, another thing to keep in mind is too that just because this movie is 57% on Rotten Tomatoes doesn't mean that it cannot be a successful movie. Of course it could be. I mean, of course it can. I mean, look at Transformers. You know, the movie Transformers had a 57%, you know, but 89% of the audience liked it. And that movie went on to make $319 million, I believe. And it had a couple of sequels. So 57% does not mean, from the critics, does not mean failure. They would like to believe they would like you to believe that, but it's not true. And so yeah, they have no effect on this movie at all. I would say this movie now is critic proof, because also this movie is setting records over the weekend too. Don't forget, I've heard that it's break. I don't know. I don't have the numbers here, but I heard somewhere that, you know, it had a good start and all that. So all that's pretty good. I think that there will be a sequel, because that's important. For there to be a sequel, they have to make a lot of money, and I think they're going to do that. They could be probably close to 100. You know, domestically in the United States, I think they could be close to maybe at the end of the weekend 100 million or something like that. You know, domestically, I think it will have a good number at the end of the weekend. So that's what's important, and that's really all Warner Brothers cares about, is how well the movie is received by the audience and the people alike. I think it's a good movie. I do. Like I said, the slow pacing at first will kind of make you think, but then it takes off and it just keeps going, and that's good, you know. I just think the movie is just excellent. I mean, it probably, you know, it may not be the movie for everybody, because one of the criticisms that I hear about this movie is people say, well, it's not like 1978. It's not like the Superman movie I remember. Well, that's true. It's not, and it's not supposed to be, because it's trying to separate itself from those other films, or those other movies and TV shows. Superman has gone through so many changes over the years, through comic books, through cartoons, through movies, TV shows. Costumes have his costumes have changed over the years. The character has gone through so many changes, and don't forget, there are a lot of different Superman writers, you know, out there that do comic books that have their own Superman looking their own way and having him with his own backgrounds and everything. There's all these different kinds of Supermans out there from different writers. So basically what I'm saying is, you know, it's a new time now, and Superman has changed. It's not going to be, you know, don't go to this movie expecting the American apple pie Boy Scout Superman. This Superman, you know, he's a good Superman. I mean, he has good morals. You know, although there's something that happens in the movie that would make you think maybe not, but it was a situation where he really had no choice. But overall, he is a moral. He does care about people, and he wants to do a good service for the world. So in that regard, he's very much like the old Superman. But yeah, it's a good Superman movie. I mean, just give it a try. You know, you might be surprised. I mean, I certainly wouldn't be held back held back by the critics. I'm a Superman fan. If a Superman movie hits the theaters, I'm out the door. I'm going to that thing. And so I don't really think that the critics have any kind of say on this at all, because their word means nothing. It really doesn't. But anyways, that's my review, and everybody take care, and talk to you all later.